Former friends, teammates, and Big West champions are about to face off on the court right behind us. Hello and welcome to Mustang Game Day. I'm Brian Trong.
And I'm Garrett Brown. Welcome back inside Moth Athletic Center. It has been 19 days since the last Cal Poly home game. We have a stacked lineup of guests. We have three coaches: Cal Poly's new basketball coach, John Smith, the new football coach, Baldwin, and Cal State's Fullerton's head coach and former boss of John Smith.
And this is, of course, first-year head coach for the Cal Poly Mustangs, John Smith. It's his first time playing Cal State Fullerton, his old school, and along with graduate guard Jamal Smith, John Smith's son, playing against the Titans for the first time, and it's sure to be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, they go out there, try to win every single game, but this one probably just means a little bit more to the head coach and some of the players on that team.
Yeah, well, before we get to all of that, this week, the sports world suffered a tragic loss on Sunday. Colby Bryant passed away alongside his daughter, Gianna, and 7 others in a helicopter crash. We talked to some of the Cal Poly men's basketball players to see their reactions and what Colby Bryant meant to them.
I wear 2-4 for a reason. Since I was in elementary school, really, I chose that number. Watching him, as a young boy, just seeing him do what he did, on the court, night in and night out, it was like nothing I've seen before.
He was that, that role model that every single basketball player wants to be like.
I feel like it's a dream that I haven't woke up from.
I mean, what he stood for, I think everybody lived by that. And that was, you got to put in extra work to be successful.
The older generation, they had Michael Jordan. Like this new generation, they have Curry, LeBron. When I was born, we had Kobe Bryant.
I mean, a lot of players put in hard work, but his was just on a different level. You have hard work, then you have Kobe work.
To the basketball world, he was the standard, right? It's hard to explain because Kobe the person and Kobe the player, as a whole, he's a standard. And anything short of what Kobe did or his mentality, right, the Mamba mentality, it's just an excuse.
Just being a family man for his family, the type of dad he was for his daughters, I think that's one of the best traits you could have.
Someone like me that has 2 daughters, and that's close with my daughters, it hit home with me, and I feel sorry for Kobe that he didn't get a chance to see his daughters get to the level that I've seen my daughters get to, because Gigi was definitely going to be the difference in WNBA.
You see ESPN, you see all these major outlets, and at first it's Kobe the All-Star, Kobe the Hall of Famer, right? But Kobe the dad, the people that got to see that saw a whole nother side.
Kobe used adversity as his way to overcome everything in life.
What was nothing to Kobe meant so much to me, right? I was at a time where I was living on my boss's floor and grinding it out, not making a whole lot of money, and just having him in the gym was a lot to me. And
just the 24/7 obsession with basketball is something that any player should try to strive for.
He's blessed me with the opportunity to think a different way that no hooper to come before him or even now has ever thought.
Even when I'm on the court, you guys are going to see 100% of me when I'm out there, and that's how Kobe played even when he was hurt. So
in the last few days, it's motivated me that much more, to do it the way that he can't anymore.
Man, that was well said by a lot of the Cal Poly players. That Kobe death really just not only the sports world, just rocked the world as a whole. With that said, let's try to come back to Mott Gym for this, huh?
Yeah, and then you mentioned before, we have a great lineup of guests for tonight's show. Let's take a look at that. Obviously, starting us off is head coach John Smith for Cal Poly, and then his former boss and the Cal State Fullerton men's basketball head coach Dedrick Taylor will join us as well. We talked to him yesterday. We're going to be able to unpack a lot more about what he said, talking about Coach Smith as well as Jamal. And then we actually did just talk to head coach for Cal Poly football, Baldwin, so we'll be showing that interview shortly. He talked a lot about the transitioning into being a head coach at Cal Poly, what's different this time around, and also a bit about men's basketball.
Yeah, a lot of similarities between those two. Baldwin will be going into his first season as head coach next year, and then, as we all know, this is John Smith's first year.
All right, so we'll have all that and more after a quick break. John Smith will be joining us soon. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.
The Cal Poly branch of the California Cybersecurity Institute, or the CCI, just hosted their first annual Human Trafficking Summit. The summit featured a keynote address from a human trafficking victim who shared her story, followed by an interactive discussion with a panel of experts from the community.
he just grabbed my arm very tightly and walked me toward the car. The other man got in the back seat. Mike pushed me in there. And that was the first night that I was forced into human trafficking.
The summit also featured a resource fair with organizations like RISE and Cal Poly Safer, a student project showcase, and a screening for a documentary about the subject. Students in attendance were there to get educated on the topic and its local impact.
I'm hoping to learn about the dangers that women go through sex trafficking and kind of the child trafficking and the underlying things that I don't know, because I don't know a lot about this stuff, so it's good to be informed.
The summit aimed to raise awareness on how to combat human trafficking taking place in our own community.
SLO County specifically, it's caught between two really big cities where there's a lot of human trafficking going on, and this is kind of an area where a lot of people are moving through. So it happens, and a lot of people don't know it happens in SLO County.
The CCI will continue towards rescuing human trafficking victims along with spreading awareness of the ongoing issue.
I think whether we like to acknowledge it or not, sex trafficking is a huge problem in our community, and I just think that things like this help us to bring awareness to the issue, and I think that most of us should be going to these type of things.
For Mustang News, I'm Cameron Ramirez.
Welcome back. As we mentioned, we were able to talk to head coach Dedrick Taylor from Cal State Fullerton and two of his players that have both been coached by and played with John Smith as well as Jamal Smith. Let's take a look at what they had to say about the Smiths. Well, actually, let's go ahead and talk about the Smiths really quickly. John Smith, he was the associate head coach at Cal State Fullerton from 2013 to 2019, spending 6 seasons there, as well as Jamal Smith. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Cal State Fullerton had to say about the Smiths.
For those two guys in particular to endure some of the things that we went through at Cal State Fullerton, and then to be able to reward them with a lifetime opportunity of being a head coach and then being able to play for your dad, I don't know that we could have scripted it any better in terms of the ending and what they're able to build here in their first year here together.
Coach Smith is one of those guys where, like, you have a lifelong relationship with him.
His principles as a man are like really high class, and so he brings that to the court. And so that means he brings it to all his players, and all the players are gonna look up to Coach Smith and see he's able to put that in them. He got the program when it wasn't at its strongest, you know, and you can tell that they're obviously rebuilding. And so you can see Coach Smith is definitely the coach that you want to have around if you're trying to rebuild a program to build it stronger.
Dealing with just building a program from the ground up was probably the #1 thing that he helped us do at Cal State Fullerton was really put together a program not only on the floor but off the floor from a recruiting standpoint, an academic standpoint, a community standpoint, and those are all things that I would anticipate him doing very, very well in short order here at Cal Poly.
Jamal is one of the best teammates I've ever had. He's like a brother to me. He's one of those teammates that'll run through a wall for you and play hard every possession, so good guy to have on the team.
The impact that Jamal Smith had is, first and foremost, he's the son of a coach. And so that type of IQ, that type of experience, that type of understanding of the game it's invaluable, quite frankly.
But Jamal was a dog. Like, that was his reputation for our team. I'm sure you guys know he's a dog on this team. Defensively, he does hack a lot, but I mean, it is a part of the role of being a strong defensive player, and I think like he has that respect from us for sure.
Definitely a lot of heart and energy. That's what I could say compared to previous Cal Poly teams. They play much harder and are more together.
They're passionate, for sure. They put a lot of emotion into the game. Like, they play with a lot of heart, and that's one thing I always got to give to them no matter what.
You know, I think you'll see the benefit of Jamal being here. You'll see the benefit of Coach Smith being here, you know, 2, 3, 4 years down the line just because of their experience together, but their love for each other, their relationship between the two of them, it will permeate throughout the course of their program as time moves on.
You know, as it gets closer, it's getting harder, you know, because obviously there's a lot of emotions tied together with us, myself, my son, and the Fullerton players. But like we said earlier, it's another game that we have to make sure that we're prepared for as we try and move up the ranks in the Big West Conference standings.
So obviously knowing this Cal State Fullerton team so well, how have you been preparing the Mustangs?
Like, I've been trying to get them to, if they can close their eyes, see exactly how they're trying to attack us, because, you know, a lot of the stuff that they do, we already do. But, you know, it's things that I've done with Coach Taylor for the last 6 years of trying to instill that system over there. So just trying to get the guys to understand how they're trying to attack us.
And then the Big West standings as of right now, about halfway through the season, is still pretty close. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, you know, it's like that every year with the Big West. You know, you can go 1 week from 8th to 2nd place, and that's the great thing about being in the Big West. You know, there's a lot of parity, and there's a lot of ability to move up the ranks week to week.
Yeah, so you've been having some really close games as of late. How have you kind of managed the team, you know, just kind of managing their expectations with these games where, you know, so close in Hawaii, so close in Irvine? How have you kind of been managing that with the team?
When we took over the job and this program, that's the one thing that we tried to focus on, was trying to get these guys to change their psyche and try and get them to understand how to win those games late. And, you know, it's still a process, a working process. But, you know, in the Big West, on the road, you have to give yourself a chance at the end of the game, which we've done. Now we have to learn how to finish those out.
And then, so Malik Harwell, all we've been hearing he's hurt. He might play, he might not. Can you give us any sort of update regarding Harwell?
Malik fractured his left wrist in the Irvine game, so it's not a bad fracture, but he will be out this game, and hopefully he'll be back on Saturday against Davis.
Obviously a player that, you know, he's had, unfortunately, a few injuries or a few things that have kept him out of, you know, playing consistently. How have you kind of been managing the team with, you know, just, you know, is it the next man up kind of mentality for your team right now?
Yeah, it's definitely next man up for us, and we've been talking about that from the beginning, because we've had injuries from day one. It's unfortunate, but it's part of the game, and everybody's got to be ready to step up. And Junior Ballard will move into the starting lineup. Colby Rodgers will probably get more minutes. So we'll see how that works.
And then just regarding the injuries in general, how do you keep morale of the team kind of up and moving when it's kind of hard where you're seeing guys fall to injury all over the place?
Like I said, it's a part of the game, and the guys have to understand that it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's not the end of the world. Just try and get treatment and try and get back on the floor as quick as possible, because, once again, we're playing in the best part of California, playing basketball, Division I basketball. We're blessed to be doing what we're doing.
All right, final question, Coach. Just Cal Poly versus Cal State Fullerton. What do you expect of this matchup?
It's going to be a track meet. It's going to be a track meet. So get ready. Your neck is going to be turning from left to right quickly. So hopefully the Mustangs come out on top at the end of it, though.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us once again, Coach, and have a great game.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be back after a quick break with more Mustang Game Day. Don't go anywhere.
When Cameron Lilly started his garden freshman year, it was hidden behind the Yosemite residence halls.
We started a kind of a legal garden behind the dorms our freshman year. And then, so we were just growing like lettuce. We just had like a couple of beds like behind our Yosemite dorm.
But now the club has a fully functioning garden with 75 members.
After freshman year, we wanted to keep the garden going, so I decided to make a club out of it. We were able to put all of our energy up here now, and it's been pretty amazing what we've been able to do recently.
Peaches, plums, nectarines, and apple trees, all of which the garden club currently grows in the 2-acre student experimental farm. The club emphasizes regenerative and sustainable agriculture techniques.
I feel like garden club, they focus a lot on using the things that we already have and how plants work together to be more productive.
Club meetings range from activities such as weeding to harvesting herbs for tea.
There's a lot of different stuff to do at any given moment.
Recently, the club has been focusing on a composting program with the local San Luis Obispo community.
So we're going to try and expand it. We're going to try and get an official system going where we're able to collect it or do something like that, but that is currently in the works. So
the student experimental garden provides a relaxing location for the garden club participants.
I just like being outside. It just gets me away from studying and just being indoors and just I don't know, working with the ground. I think is really cool.
And Lily's message to newcomers:
anybody can garden. Anyone, it's a lot easier than people think.
Lauren Brown, Mustang News.
Welcome back to Mustang Game Day. We're here with the Cal Poly basketball team. He's getting ready to take on Cal State Fullerton. Now, Brian, this Fullerton team, they're sitting at 8-13. Not the, obviously doesn't jump out at you, but this is a program with Fullerton that's nothing to be taken lightly. This team made a tournament appearance back in 2018. They went toe-to-toe with Purdue. That team was loaded with NBA talent. Carson Edwards and Vincent Edwards are both on there. They're now both playing on NBA teams. Definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, and once again, obviously we have to keep talking about this. John Smith, the former associate head coach of Cal State Fullerton, and then staying in the Big West, coming to Cal Poly in the head coaching role. It's his first year here, and he was able to bring his son Jamal Smith along with him as a graduate guard. I'm sure that's obviously a great feeling to coach your son for 4 years, then also get him for a 5th year in your first year as a head coach. Jamal Smith, played point guard for Cal State Fullerton. He didn't miss a game at all in his last 2 seasons with the team. And, of course, that team in 2018, Cal State Fullerton, went on to win the Big West Championship 2018, as well as going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and I'm sure John Smith bringing Jamal Smith with him was no surprise to the Fullerton team. When we spoke to some of the members of the Fullerton team earlier this week, they constantly talked about what a big part in recruiting and developing a program John Smith has been, and especially for them. Jamal Smith, too. Also, you mentioned he didn't miss a game. Even more impressive, he was a walk-on at Fullerton. So that just adds to what an impact he had, not only on the court, but probably in the locker room and the culture.
Yeah, John Smith was a walk-on as well, so it's kind of a family legacy there. Being a walk-on, but going from being a walk-on to also being a successful player, a successful coach, and I'm sure Jamal, kind of has those qualities as well. As we heard from Dedrick Taylor, the Cal State Fullerton head coach, he did talk about when we talked to him about Jamal Smith. He said one of Jamal's most valuable assets is being the son of a coach, having that basketball IQ, and also kind of knowing the responsibility that comes with being a player. He was, obviously a big part of the team on the court defensively, but off the court, he was one of the guys that was, keeping players in check, knowing how, the players should be acting. And I think a lot of credit was given to him by Dedrick. Dedrick Taylor gave him a lot of credit for that. And also, Dedrick Taylor had amazing things to say about what he thinks the impact they will have, which is he thinks they'll have a huge impact at Cal Poly.
I'll tell you what, it amazes me that a guy like Smith was was a walk-on and wasn't getting offers. He actually started in the March Madness tournament game for Fullerton against Purdue, alongside 2 Fullerton players we're going to talk to later, Rowe and Austin Awasoka.
Yeah, so we did talk to head coach John Smith and Jamal Smith about their thoughts heading into this matchup. Let's take a look and see what they had to say about it.
I have a job to do, and the job is to try and prepare our team to win basketball games, and that's my main focus.
My time with the team was special. Winning a championship is hard, and during that process, you form bonds that go beyond basketball. Looking at, my ring and pictures in my phone, and you just get flashbacks and memories from times that bring a lot of smiles to your face, and that's what I'm always gonna cherish, and that's what means a lot to me, being from Fullerton.
Dedrick Taylor was phenomenal at teaching us that and giving us, responsibilities that put us in position to become head coaches. So there's just a lot that I can take from Fullerton, my Fullerton days. You got to take it as it's just another game. It's going to be a surreal feeling because there's a lot of players still there that I recruited and helped recruited. Jackson Rowe, Austin Awasoka, those 2 are very hard to stop, and being the last 3 years being in individual workouts with those guys, I know their strengths, I know their weaknesses, and I know that they're going to fight to have their strengths come out.
But I'm excited to play against, my matchup with Austin. Obviously, we were both point guards at Fullerton. We have a really close bond. Definitely going to be a lot of trash talk going back and forth, but it's going to be fun, exciting. Daniel, the other backup point guard, I'm excited for that. He was like my little brother. I'm just excited to play everybody,
We have inside trader knowledge of what they're trying to do, so just trying to share that with the team.
Just coming to practice ready with the same mentality to get a win, a home win.
All right, and now we have head coach for Cal State Fullerton, Cedric Taylor on the set with us. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for having me. Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, so just to start things off, how does it feel to be playing here inside Mott against your former associate coach and a former player?
You know, quite frankly, it sucks because one of us has to win and one of us has to lose. You know, and so that's always bittersweet, and that always is not fun. But it's exciting for me to be able to see a guy that I have so much respect for, a mentor of mine, and then obviously to see his son in his last year of college helping his dad build a program that I think will be really good in short order. It's heartwarming for me, and it's what the game of basketball is about. You know, it's life, and things happen, and you always get excited when good things happen for good people.
So obviously, Coach Smith hasn't had much time here in the program, but so far, what have you seen from him and what he's done with this Cal Poly team?
You know, I've seen them scrap. I've seen him lay the foundation, just similar to what we did at Cal State Fullerton. His team is scrappy. His team plays hard. They're trying to learn what it takes to win, and I can see them getting better day in and day out. And every time you flip on the film and watch them play, you see them getting incrementally better. And so I would imagine in short order, they'll get where they want to be in no time at all.
Yeah, and to talk about Jamal Smith, he's, you know, the most experienced player, I think, going to be playing for them tonight. So, you know, just what does he bring to the team? You kind of talked about this already, but on and off the court, it seems like he has a pretty big impact.
He does. You know, I think first and foremost, he's the son of a coach. And so there's a certain type of conversation that goes on outside of the court that he carries, and he's lived it his whole life. And so I think there's an IQ and an understanding, an intricate understanding of what his dad is trying to do, that he can kind of bridge the gap between his dad and the players, and then vice versa, the players and his dad. And so I think he's a pivotal part of what they're trying to do and what they're going to do. Jamal is just so smart. He's got a high IQ. He's tough. Like you said, he's experienced. He's seen the Big West from the bottom and the top. And so I think that type of experience is invaluable.
Yeah, and as you say, you know, Jamal, he's familiar with the conference, and, you know, now he's here on Cal Poly, and he's kind of stepping into a bigger role for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you think he's handling so far, you know, stepping up and playing for this team and being a leader?
Sure. From what I've seen on film, I think he's doing a tremendous job. He's doing exactly what he can do and what he's capable of doing. I think the most important thing, he's not doing anything outside of himself. And then when a lot of guys get in these types of situations, sometimes they try to do too much, and then it becomes a disaster. And I don't see that from Jamal. I see him doing exactly what he knows he can do, what's expected of him from his dad, and then what's expected of him from his teammates.
And one last thing about Jamal, you mentioned his IQ for the game and how that can help bridge the gap in the locker room between the coach and the rest of the players. But on the court, how do you prepare to go up against a guy like that?
Well, it's hard because he knows all of our stuff. He played in it for 4 years, even though he redshirted. So he knows all of our stuff. But at the end of the day, you still have to execute, and the game's going to come down to who's willing to execute the most of their stuff for the longest amount of time. And hopefully our group can do that and just continue to execute. And but he understands our concepts. There's no question about that. And I'm sure he'll be calling out our plays just like we'll be calling out their plays. And it'll be a fun matchup. Like I said, it's bittersweet just because one of us has to lose, and nobody wants to lose or win, you know, or nobody wants to lose in these types of situations.
And final question before we get you out of here. You know, we're just starting to get to know John and Jamal and how great they are as people. Obviously, you spent so much time with them. Anything you want to share about them?
Yeah, you know, we talked a little bit about it yesterday in terms of the one thing I don't know if you guys have been privy to at this point is Coach Smith is extremely fiery. Like, he gets after it, and he can get after his guys. And you know, the unique situation when you're coaching your son is sometimes outside things come onto the floor, and they may play out on the floor during practice. And so there was one particular instance where I could see them getting into each other's way, to put it nicely. And Coach Smith was trying to coach Jamal, and Jamal wasn't necessarily receptive like most players are sometimes. And Coach Smith wanted his immediate attention, and Jamal was not giving it. And so I could see them Jamal kind of going away from him, and Coach Smith walking towards him, trying to chase him down. And then all of a sudden Jamal starts walking towards him. I'm like, yo, you don't want to do that. So I literally ran over and grabbed Jamal and just walked him off the floor and tried to dissolve that situation or resolve it as best as we could before we had too many fireworks. But again, it's an unbelievable father-son moment that if they both were here, they would laugh about it, because that's the experience of life. You get a chance to share what they both want out of life, which is playing this game of basketball at the Division I level. They get to experience it, and so that was one of the funnier moments to me. It wasn't funny to them at the time, but to me, I chuckle at it quite often, actually.
All right, well, thank you again, Coach. It's not every day we get to have an opposing coach on the show.
Yeah.
And we're getting closer to tip-off. Be sure to not go anywhere. We got more coming up on Mustang Game Day after the break.
Thanks.
A new physical therapy office has opened in San Luis Obispo and is now offering Parkinson's Wellness Recovery classes, also known as Power Moves. While the Parkinson's community in San Luis Obispo is prevalent, Parkinson's-related exercise classes are not. Physical therapist and Power Moves instructor Kristen Carlos explains the lack of accessibility in the San Luis Obispo area.
There were a few classes that were offered, but maybe like once a month or once quarterly. And really, people with Parkinson's disease need to have consistent exercise. So we decided to make it a twice-weekly class so that there was always an opportunity.
Many of the movements are focused on helping patients better perform tasks such as getting off the floor and rolling over in bed.
So Power Moves are a series of exercises geared towards helping people with Parkinson's disease. And basically the idea behind the class is to increase amplitude of movement, get them some exercise with some intensity, which helps slow the progression of Parkinson's disease, as well as give them kind of a support group and something that they can participate in on a regular basis.
As someone who has Parkinson's, William Gayhafer has been attending these classes since the beginning and credits the weekly consistency to his improved gait and balance.
It helped me with my freezing of gait. It helped me with my turning. I've had problems turning around and moving my feet periodically, so it helps with that a lot.
Power Moves attendees range from all ages and abilities and are offered every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. Beginning next month, Power Moves classes will be free on Tuesdays for anyone looking to try it out. For Mustang News, I'm Cameron Ramirez.
I feel solid. Obviously it's never fun to play through injuries, but it's part of our game. Injuries happen. It wasn't how I dreamed it. Obviously my first season here wasn't how I dreamed it, but I'm persevering. It's just part of the process. I'm just trying to get healthy, rehab as much as I can every day, and just fight for my brothers when I'm in.
And Nolan Taylor, obviously one of the few big men for Cal Poly that can actually play. Unfortunately, at the first home game, Hank Hollingsworth went down with a season-ending injury, leaving the few big men for Cal Poly men's basketball as Nolan Taylor, who also is currently playing through an injury, Tuka Yakula, and Ali Karoma, who is a freshman, so a true freshman. So we're now seeing Nolan Taylor playing a few more minutes, and that's why he's one of our key players, because we want to see what he's able to do, even playing through an injury.
Yeah, so Nolan Taylor obviously playing through an injury, really showing that grit and determination and commitment to the culture that everyone who's been talking about what Coach Smith has been doing with his team. Taylor actually did not play. He transferred over from Pepperdine, was unable to play pretty much all last year due to the NCAA rules.
Yeah, and the thing is, they talk about him a lot, that he is a lot more than just a big. He is a big presence on the floor as well for the team. They've talked about that a lot, that being a huge valuable asset. He's played under 3 different head coaches, which just gives him just a wealth of experience and knowledge. So yeah, he's been kind of working into the game right now. He played his most minutes in the last game. He played like 12 minutes and then 14 minutes. So they're working him back into playing, getting back to speed, because he did spend a year off, as you said, redshirting, then missed all of non-conference because of his injury.
Yeah, and now our second key player is true freshman guard Colby Rodgers, who's been lighting up the score sheet lately. In his last 2 games, he had 18 points in the close game against #1 of the Big West, Hawaii. That definitely gave the Mustangs a big boost in a game that, frankly, they really went toe-to-toe with one of the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, Colby Rodgers is a pure shooter, and he's also a very good sign when you look at Cal Poly men's basketball as a whole. He's one of the first players that John Smith was able to recruit, and he's coming in to a team where he has to pick up a bit of a bigger role. And so far, he's been really stepping up to the task. He's been shooting lights out. He's their best shooter from three-point range. And, at times, he's been a very dominant player on the floor in terms of shot selection and actually landing those shots. And, he's just been able to put together a very good freshman season so far. It's been a little inconsistent, as you can expect from a true freshman. But John Smith, he said he's very impressed by him. He said that Colby plays with an old soul, which is funny to hear about a true freshman.
And it's funny that you keep talking about how much John Smith has admiration for Rodgers. He's not the only Smith. Keith and Jamal both multiple times have talked about it, which a fan they are of Colby's shooting. Jamal earlier in the week was talking about how he knows if he gets the ball to Colby, he's going to shoot it, but, he makes it a lot, so he can't really be that mad. Yeah,
so our third key player is the scoring leader for the Mustangs, sophomore Junior Ballard. And he's had an interesting story as well. He did go down. He had a really good start as a freshman last season and then unfortunately went down with an injury. Joe Calero actually said that Junior Ballard's start as a freshman was one of the best that he's ever seen from a freshman. So he's kind of cutting back into speed, but obviously leading the team in scoring right now. He's a big part of their offense.
Yeah, and he's kind of picked up right where he's left off. He's 7th in the Big Sky Conference, or Big West Conference in scoring. So obviously he's been a big offensive threat for the Mustangs. Also, he's been playing really hot as of late. He had 16 points and 7 rebounds in the game against Riverside, and then he followed up with 17 points and 5 rebounds against Irvine.
Yeah, so definitely exciting to see these young players, a sophomore in Junior Ballard, a true freshman in Colby Rodgers, able to be first and second in the team in scoring. That does mean good things for the Mustangs in the future, especially with whoever John Smith is bringing. He's said very often, it's a rebuilding process. And we're seeing the beginning of that process here. And even Coach Peter Taylor has said we're going to be seeing the impacts of John and Jamal Smith on what they're able to do with this program pretty soon. He said in a couple of years to 2, 3, or 4 years. So, maybe good things on their way and good sign to see these two players doing well.
Yeah, and just one more thing about Ballard. He's 6th in the Big West in three-point percentage. So you know what they say about shooters, right, Brian?
What do they say, Garrett?
They shoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, like that, we're going to go ahead and shoot over to a break. We'll be right back with more Mustang Game Day after this.
We started off as a mobile coffee catering company, serving weddings and markets and those types of events. And it's our slow season right now, so we are doing a pop-up coffee shop on the corner of Monterey and Toro Street. So we wanted to create a space, and we're so excited to have the opportunity to create a space for people to just feel welcome to study and hang out, catch up with friends.
Callie and Randy are really kind, so anytime I see them, I know that I can talk to them about my day, ask them how their day's going, and they're going to ask me how mine's going. The coffee is inexpensive. So even if you don't have a ton of money to spend on coffee or anything like that, don't have to worry about that. And it's just a great spot, honestly.
So we carry some coffee roasters that you won't find in this part of California or maybe all over California. We carry Say Coffee. They're from Brooklyn, New York. We also carry Little Wolf Coffee from Massachusetts. Part of the whole idea was to bring coffee that wasn't from here.
I think that coffee shops sometimes lose their touch of when they get really crowded or when they're like a place for club meetings or vice versa. Like they just lose, I think, what coffee shops are usually intended for. And I think this is a really nice spot because everyone will just ask you how your day is going. You'll just talk to random people here. There's always beautiful dogs that are always friendly. And it's just a really nice energy and a really nice place to be, especially when you're dealing with schoolwork.
Welcome back to Mustang Game Day. So Brian, let's talk about Malik Harwell. Earlier we heard from Coach Smith that he has a fracture and will not be playing in today's game. That's really going to be a loss for Mustangs.
Yeah, he suffered a fractured wrist in that last game against UC Irvine, and it was a shame to see him go down. It was a very close game, and obviously he's one of the contributors for Cal Poly in the offense. He's a graduate guard, so he's bringing a lot of experience coming in from Boise State. You can see his stats up there, 8.4 points per game. Has some good shooting percentages. And the issue just with him is really unfortunate that he's just been dealing with a lot of injuries so far this season. He had an ankle sprain that kept him out of 3 games earlier. Then he had a flu that kept him out of 2 games, and now he has this most recent wrist fracture, which could keep him out he's out of this game tonight, and they are hoping he'll be back for Saturday's game. But we'll have to see what's going to happen there. It's very unfortunate for him because when we see him on the floor, he's able to make really tough shots.
Yeah, and it's just been playing part in that injury bug that's just been on top of this Mustang team all year. You know, we saw Hanks Hollingsworth go down at the beginning of the year, a couple other key players go down, and now another key big injury for the Mustangs.
And that's what's forced players like true freshman Colby Rodgers to step up. So let's hear more about Colby Rodgers and how he's doing so far this season, stepping into a bigger role as a true freshman for Cal Poly.
You know, it wasn't like most. Coach Smith actually recruited me to Cal State Fullerton, and when I heard he got the job here, it kind of was like the stars aligned for me to come to Cal Poly, and you know, I wanted to play as a freshman, and they allowed me to have that opportunity, and it's been going great so far. It's kind of exceeded my expectations, really.
Yeah, you know, Kobe's going to be special. You know, he like I keep saying, he plays at a different pace. He's not like your normal freshman. He adjusts to game plans. He adjusts to how people are playing him, and he works tirelessly on his shot and his game, and it shows in the game. So I look forward to the next 3.5 years with him.
It's great having someone so confident at such a young age on the floor to play with. Like, he knows his role, he plays it well. He's grown so much since the summer, and it's good to see like where he is now and where he's going to keep on going. He's such a versatile scorer that it really opens up the floor for everybody when he's on the court, because he can get to the hoop, he can shoot the three. He's just a really good player that really opens up the game for all of us.
You know, I refer to myself kind of like a silent assassin almost, you know, kind of not really loud, but, you know, you feel my presence in the game, and you know I'm there. So, you know, I just try to, you know, focus on what I need to do to help the team win. It's hard to win games, and you got to really, you know, bring it every single time you come on the court. Can't take no days off. You know, one possession off, a minute off, a second off. You know, you just got to, every single day, you just got to go hard, you know, like it's your last time.
And we are here with the new head coach of Cal Poly football, Bo Baldwin. So, Coach, you've only been here a couple weeks. Tell us how you've adjusted the SLO community so far.
It's been great. I mean, just everyone's been so welcoming, and just so many people that have helped out with the adjustment, because there's a lot going on with hiring a staff, with putting together the recruiting class, with getting to know your own team, you know, so it's been a lot of moving parts with it, but it's, like I said, it's been an incredible first, whatever that's been, 3-ish weeks since we got done with the bowl game, but a lot of people have been a part of it, and very grateful.
Yeah, what's been your impression of the St. Louis Obispo community so far?
Just everyone's in a great mood. I mean, and I mean that. I mean, everyone's just excited about just everything from what's going on the campus to obviously people are excited, you know, just with the football program and you know, in that piece going forward, win spring ball, just everything. But my impressions more than anything is it's been a community that's been just welcoming. Not only myself, but the other assistants would say the same thing, and more importantly, my wife and daughters have just, you know, they've loved every minute of it. You know, they've been going back and forth. They'll get down here permanently later on, you know, during the spring, but right now, just everyone's treated us extremely well.
St. Louis Obispo, happiest city on earth, right?
It feels like it. I walk out of my condo, and it's like you're on vacation, but I'm actually headed to work.
Now, yourself recently becoming a Mustang. What's your opinion of this Mustang basketball team we have here?
Oh, I think they're in the right direction, and I think coaches, I've gotten a chance, and I can't wait to get to know Coach Smith some more, you know, just going forward. But you can just tell he has the right, you know, he just has the right mindset, the right direction, and you know, so it's been fun to watch him because I've seen a couple of games and just seen him steadily do things better and better, and you know, so I'm excited about where that trajectory is going to be going through the next coming years as well.
And obviously Coach Smith and the men's basketball team in a very similar position that you guys will be in the next season. Just can you kind of tell us about what are kind of difficulties in transitioning being a first-year head coach into a program?
Yeah, I think any time. I mean, change can always be tough, no matter what. You know, because you're establishing just your way. I mean, everyone uses the term culture, but it's true. You're establishing your beliefs, your culture, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time. But at the same time, I'm very optimistic about, and I told the juniors and especially the seniors that the 2020 season is the most important season, because I never want to be one of those guys who thinks, well, it's going to take time, this and that. I get it that things can take time, but my mindset, and like I said, I'm probably overly optimistic, but I don't care. I'm going to stay that way. Is that we're looking to do great things next year, and when we do hit those road bumps in the road, those things that don't go perfect, we'll build that resilient attitude to just keep climbing and just keep moving over the top.
Last question before we get you out of here. Just can you tell us, what should Cal Poly fans expect to see from Cal Poly football in the coming season?
I think more than anything, you're going to see a bunch that plays for one another. They have a love for the game. They're going to play for one another. Obviously, the obvious question is the offense going to look a little bit different? And it will. It'll be a 180, and that doesn't make it one right or one wrong, but it'll be quite a bit different. And that'll be, that'll take some steps. But I think if we do the right things in the spring and in the in the off season, we can be further along than folks might think once we hit that ground running at the start of the year. So it's going to be an exciting brand of football, but a group that plays for one another and plays with a lot of passion.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you as a regular on the show come fall.
Sounds good. Loved it.
Thanks again, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll be right back with more Mustang Game Day after a quick break.
With the aim to paint the city in blue, members of San Luis Obispo County gathered to address the issues most pressing to them.
Not enough housing, increasing homelessness, and threats to our environment.
The third annual Democratic Convention featured new candidates running for SLO County.
Right now we have some really crucial elections coming up, especially locally. We have Ellen Bayrow, who is challenging a Trump Republican and climate denier.
I'm a Democrat, and I think that having more democratic values on the Board of Supervisors will lead us to a better future.
With a goal to inspire, empower, and mobilize.
My tagline is smart, honest leadership, and I think we need more of that.
Other candidates at the convention ran to keep their place.
I'm so honored to be introducing my boss, Adam Hill.
It's really important to keep his seat safe. He's been an amazing advocate for housing, for the environment, and for students.
Focusing on the future of the youth.
Young people in college have the most to look forward to and also the most to fear.
I was hoping to become a little bit more well-informed in issues that I didn't know as much about.
With diverse backgrounds.
36 years ago, I was one of the first 3 openly gay mayors in the United States.
The Democratic Party could agree on one thing.
We cannot afford 4 more years of inaction. We are just getting further and further behind.
The time for change is now.
So make sure to get out, vote, register.
Sydney Bryant, Mustang News.
Right there you can see the Fullerton and Cal Poly teams both warming up. And as you can see, it's getting closer to tip-off. So let's go ahead and roll right into one of our favorite segments, 3 Keys to the Game.
One of our favorite segments indeed, Garrett.
One of our favorites.
We're going to talk about Mustang News' 3 keys for success for Cal Poly men's basketball. As we go to take a look at Junior Ballard. All right, so our first key for Cal Poly men's basketball, key number 1 is drive the paint.
Yeah, so Cal Poly shot 22% from the field in the second half against Santa Barbara and only went 5 for 22. Obviously that is something you can't repeat and expect to have success.
Yeah, well, drive the paint really comes down to Fullerton. I think they're 7th in the conference in terms of opponent's field goal percentage. So that's just something Cal Poly wants to capitalize on. Capitalizing on the defense. They've capitalized on poor defenses before. In CSUN, their only win in Big West Conference play, CSUN had one of the bottom 10 defenses in all of Division I. And Cal Poly obviously capitalized on that. They shut down the leading scorer, and they had a really great game against CSUN, and they want to repeat that obviously as it was their only win in Big West Conference play.
Yeah, if they can drive the paint successfully, it's a win-win situation. Because worst comes to worst, Fullerton is not known. Or is known for having a little bit of a fouling problem. So worst comes to worst, we're going to see a lot of Mustangs on the line tonight.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our second key, which comes off of what you just said about Cal State Fullerton. It's smart defense. Cal State Fullerton, they are first or second, top 2 in the Big West in free throws made and free throws attempted. So, I mean, they've been to the line a lot, and they've made those free throws as well. So that's just something you want to avoid. Cal Poly, they've had some troubles with free throws themselves. And, just giving those points over to Cal State Fullerton would definitely, spell death for the Mustangs.
Yeah, and the Mustangs definitely want to be smart, not send a lot of Titans to the line. Lamine Diane is averaging a double-double essentially at this point in the season. You definitely don't want to see that guy get going, or else it's going to be tough to keep up with Fullerton.
Yeah, I mean, the really big threats on Cal State Fullerton is what John Smith called the three-headed monster of Jackson Rowe, Austin Avosika, and Brandon Kamga. And it's funny because John Smith has coached both, not Brandon, but he's coached both Austin and and him, and hasn't coached Brandon. So he's kind of seeing a new look there, a new player that's kind of being thrown into the mix in Cal State Fullerton that he doesn't have that insider knowledge on.
Yeah, so it's funny how with those two players you mentioned initially, you can make the case that Smith will know how to shut him down, but you can also make the case that they know what Smith is going to try to do against him, so they can throw him a curveball as well.
Yeah,
that brings us to our third key for the Mustangs. Next man up, like we've been talking about all show, the Mustangs been dealing with a pretty severe injury bug, and they just got to implore that next man up mentality.
Yeah, and I mean, just to run through the injuries again, Hank Hollingsworth went down in the first home game of the season, and that was a big loss because he was the most experienced player for Cal Poly, having spent coming into his 5th year as a Mustang, and losing a big man up front obviously was a rough time for them. And then Nolan Taylor, he's currently playing through an injury, and now this new injury to Malik Harwell that's going to sideline him. So yeah, the next man up mentality is really important for this team. Coach Smith, he loves to rotate out starters, loves to take different looks at the lineups, and that's something we're definitely going to be seeing with this team today.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest strengths this Mustang team has is its depth. If you look at the Big West player statistics of minutes played, almost no Mustangs are in the top 10, and you can argue a lot of things to that. But one thing you extrapolate, this team likes to play deep. They usually go 9 or 10 men deep, sometimes even more, and they just like to utilize that depth, which you kind of have to when you're missing a lot of key players to injury.
And when you're just a program that's rebuilding with young talent, that is your scoring leaders in Junior Ballard and Colby Rodgers. So ahead of this matchup, let's go ahead and take a look at the Big West Conference standings, and it's a close race. It's always a close race in the Wild West, I think they like to say, in the Big West. Cal Poly at the bottom of the standings, 1-4, but I think Coach Smith and the rest of the Mustangs would like to say, and I would agree as well, they could easily be 3-2. They've had close games in both Irvine and Hawaii, and as you saw at the top of the standings, it's a 2-way tie for first place, a 3-way tie for 3rd, 4th, 5th place, all that. So it's a really close race right now, and as you know, in the Big West, only one team doesn't go to the Big West tournament, so it's easier to get into postseason play.
Yeah, and like you saw, Hawaii currently sits atop the Big West standings. I'm sure if you ask the Hawaii team, I'm sure they feel like they barely got out okay against that game against the Mustangs. That's a game they could have very easily won. And something
Same
else
for UC Irvine.
Yeah, and I'm sure the rest of the Big West can be watching this game because I'm sure they're all wondering, when is the Fullerton juggernaut going to wake up? The Mustangs don't want that to be tonight.
Or when is the Cal Poly juggernaut going to wake up? You don't know, Garrett. That's the thing with the Wild West. And Cal Poly, they've had good things going. They've shown really good. They've shown like really good games, really good stretches of games, and it's about putting it together consistently. Obviously, the win against CSUN Big, shutting down the best player in the Big West by far, able to do that. So we'll see how they stack up against Cal State Fullerton, which is of course going to be an emotional night, I'm sure, for John Smith and Jamal. They don't want to tell us that, but I'm sure inside they're gonna, once they line up on the court and they see their old friends, their old teammates, their old team that they won a Big West championship with, I'm sure that they'll be feeling some of those emotions there.
Maybe the emotions will be the spark this team needs to go ahead and kick it into gear.
All right, well, that's all we're going to have for this edition of Mustang Game Day. Thank you so much for joining us as we previewed Cal Poly versus Cal State Fullerton. It's been Brian Trong.
And I'm Garrett Brown. Thank you for watching.
We'll see you next time.